Hi, everybody. I am here with my friend Taylor. Now, Taylor, I would like you to tell everybody about who Taylor is.
Hello, everyone, and first of all, thank you for having me, Becky. I really appreciate it. My name is Taylor Linloff. I am a queer non-binary individual from Port Hawkesbury, Nova Scotia, and I'm here today because I just recently self-published, a poetry chapbook, my first ever, entitled Heirloom Seeds.
Now, Taylor, I read a description of heirloom seeds, and I loved the review. And what I read was a love letter to self and resilience. Heirloom Seeds is a poetry collection which explores the grappling relationships between mental illness and the fostering of self-acceptance. I think that's beautiful.
Thank you so much. For background, for anyone who may not know, I was diagnosed with bipolar 2 disorder back about 2 years ago. It would be February 2021. And bipolar 2 is a subset of bipolar disorder, which means I experience long-term mood swings that can range anywhere from a couple of days to up to even months, unfortunately. I experience something called hypomania, which is a euphoric mood, restless energy, and things like that, often sleeplessness as well. But I also experience severe depression that involves feelings of hopelessness, sadness, lethargy. It's compared to bipolar 1, which has more severe euphoria, which can lead to psychosis and hallucinations. And bipolar 1 also has lower depression. So a lot of people view it as bipolar light, which is very untrue.
Right, right. Because I think that only a person that experiences those things would understand them, you
Yeah, and
know?
honestly, that's part of the reason I wrote the book
Yeah.
because a lot of people still don't understand what bipolar is. They just think it's an on and off switch that we're angry 1 second and happy the next. We're like the theater masks. But honestly, we're very faceted human beings that are just trying to live our lives, honestly, just like anybody else.
Yeah, just with an extra set of challenges.
Exactly. And honestly, everyone has their own set of challenges, so why
Sure.
not try to understand each other's?
Agreed. And I really have to say that I admire your bravery because a lot of people in years gone by, Taylor, they never really spoke about these things, right? And I admire you for that.
Thank you. And honestly, like I don't look it, but I'm old enough to know what the Butterscotch Palace was. So
Yeah.
like that's still like the bootstraps, pull up your bootstraps kind of culture, unfortunately, in Cape Breton because it wasn't talked about. Like often people would honestly self-medicate if they had a mental illness, or they'd be sent away, or they were just forced to suck it up, buttercup. And that does not work with mental illness whatsoever.
No, and there's still
It's
a degree of that, you know. I know that there's a degree, you'll hear somebody say, well, that's just how that person is, but that doesn't solve the issue at all. I don't think. I mean, I have friends and family with that are affected by bipolar disorder, as you say. Some of it diagnosed, and some of it I do not believe has been in their cases. Um, but now this poetry that you wrote, it's very I would say deep. It's deep. It is. But it's really interesting. Like, how did you decide to actually write about that?
honestly, I was always the bookish type. I have something called hyperlexia, which is often a subset of autism, which I'm also autistic for anyone who doesn't know. Um, it means that you have a highly accelerated rate of reading and writing, and you have an deep, deep interest in the written word. And so I was always the kid that was nose in a book, that was grade levels above me. And back in high school, I got introduced to spoken word poetry as part of our English curriculum. And I just fell in love with it. Like something sparked inside me, much to the chagrin of my fellow students who are like, oh, great, she has another tangent to go on. And part of bipolar disorder treatment is you're supposed to take your meds, you go to therapy, and with any issue, honestly, writing stuff out helps. I chose not to do a journal, but I ended up writing some poems that end up becoming heirloom seeds just to get some emotions out. And I decided, hey, self-publishing is a thing now. You don't have to try and go through the hoops and jumps of going through a traditional publisher, which is really hard to do it with poetry to begin with, let alone as a marginalized person. So I decided, hey, why not do this as a personal challenge, just say that I did it. And so that's what happened. And I ended up sharing it with a book club I'm part of online. And it just, snowball started going, and it ended up in the Netherlands, and it's been ordered to Portugal.
That's fantastic.
It's exciting. I can't believe that's
Very,
landed in the
very,
Netherlands.
very exciting. I think it's fantastic. So, the internet and social media contribute to the well-being of poetry, really.
Yeah, it's definitely made a comeback, especially with spoken word poetry. Like Button Poetry on Facebook is a huge publisher. People can just go online, stream, they can post videos of sharing their spoken word or any poetry on YouTube. They can post snippets on Instagram. Like there's entire communities dedicated to poetry now, and it's so exciting. Like people need to get their thoughts out, and people need to express themselves one way or another. So it shows how interconnected everyone is, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think the same thing. The idea of expressing yourself is probably a part of should I use the word healing a bit?
Yeah, honestly, it's human nature,
Yeah,
it's healing, it's
yeah,
cathartic.
right, right. Well, now you've have you had has it been well received?
Yeah, I one of my friends actually posted the book on something called Goodreads, which is a social media for book lovers,
Right.
and it has 5-star reviews right now. There's
That's
five-star
fantastic.
reviews.
Congratulations.
So
That's fantastic.
so like whenever my friends see that, like, hey, there's a new review up, and they link me. Look
Oh,
at this.
that's awesome. So
It's
what
humbling, honestly.
well, it's great though, Taylor. Ever since I met you, I've been impressed by you because you're a person who speaks their truth, and I have to say we need more people like you.
I feel the same about you, honestly.
Well, I've always spoken my truth. Sometimes I've gotten into trouble for it, but but that's okay. I was willing to, defend myself. Although most of the time I don't think I need to. I think that everybody has a right to say what they want to say. You
We should
know,
not shrink ourselves for the comfort of others.
that's that's very very well said. I agree with you. Um, so what role do poetry and art have in supporting your mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual well-being?
It's inherently intertwined. Like I said, I was always a bookish type. It was my as a child, it was almost an escapism for me because I was bullied so
Mm,
badly as a
I'm sure
kid
you
and
were.
up through high school. So the fact that I can share my experiences, share how I'm feeling, share my emotions, and be received for that for once in my life, it's honestly weird. It's a weird feeling because when I expressed myself as a child, I was socially punished badly. But honestly, the fact that I was bullied so badly was fuel in a way. Like you have to take those experiences and use them as bricks to keep
Hmm.
stepping upward.
I can totally relate to that, actually. Yeah, I understand completely what you're talking about. And so, what I would say to you now is like, take it all in. It's great. I
Look
think
at
it's
me now, you
fantastic.
didn't stop me. You didn't stop me.
And that's great. No, because it's kind of like it's almost like those stories that you see, where, the person comes back and bigger and better and goes to their high school reunion and here I am. Remember me, the kid you bullied? Like I like those stories.
I'm still not going to my high school reunion, way too much social interaction.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, you probably don't really. I mean,
I
a
don't
lot of
think they
people
do
think,
them. I don't think they even really do them at my age, honestly.
really, I've been doing mine every 10 years for,
No, mine maybe it was because of the pandemic, but mine would have been last year
right.
for 10 years. So I don't know
Yeah.
what's going on there, but too much social interaction, and I don't need the validation of people
No.
who were hateful to me. I have my own validation. I have my own self-love at this point, and that's my fuel.
Well, the thing is,
Like
you know who you are, right?
exactly. Like
And
I
it
didn't
doesn't
then. I
matter
did not.
really. It doesn't really matter in, to me even. Shouldn't really matter to other people what people think. I just like to know that I like myself.
I like the phrase that other people's opinions of you are none of your business.
That's a very good phrase. That's a very good phrase. I also have another one. One of my favorites is don't treat anybody don't treat anybody like a, what was the word? Don't treat anybody importantly who treats you as an option. I don't
This
like
is
that
true.
either. And
This is
and
true.
it's all well and good for people to sit back and judge, but they probably should not. Well, they
Yeah,
shouldn't. Let's just face it, we'd all get along better in this world if everybody accepted everybody for exactly who they are,
including
and
themselves.
including themselves. That is correct. So now, do you think you're going to write more?
Definitely. Honestly, heirloom seeds partially came out of me having some inertia slowed from a novella I'm writing.
Right,
Like in true neurodivergent fashion,
right.
one project goes on pause to work on another project.
Oh,
Um, the working title is My Name is Marshall. I hope to probably put it out within the next year or so, but I'm definitely going to put out more poetry in the meantime. It's going to be a novella, LGBTQ plus fiction themed around a woman from a fictional town in Cape Breton Island who figures out they're actually trans slash non-binary and has to try and navigate the small town world of people still not yet yet not understanding how some people are and how some things work. So,
do you think that there's been a greater acceptance in the last few years of those who are, coming out, or, you know, everybody? It seems like there's a better acceptance of that stuff in the small towns now, like of
oh,
people being who they are.
100%.
Yeah. I'm
Um,
quite
I
proud of our communities for that.
I am honestly like I figured out like I had an inkling that I was not cisgender. For anyone who does not know, cisgender means you identify with the gender that you were raised at birth. So a woman who was raised a woman agrees that they're a woman, or a man who was raised as a man agrees that they're a man. That's cisgender. Um, Around 2013, 2014, but I didn't officially do the big coming out until like 2021. That's when like I was still going by they or them pronouns online, but it wasn't to the full scope of being out until 2021. And looking back at the first Pride rally slash march that we had in Port Hawkesbury, Mayor Brenda Chisholm Beaton and I were standing in the parking lot with a couple people, like friends and family, crossing our fingers, praying we were going to get 25 people to show up and support. And we got like 300. So it's definitely coming around, which
Oh,
is very,
wonderful.
very great. Like a lot of people, especially in rural Cape Breton, definitely had to live closeted. And so I'm hope that being my authentic self and trying to help raise awareness and acceptance more than anything kind of shows that their bravery, their existence wasn't in vain.
That's correct, really. I look around me sometimes and I remember people that I knew from high school that definitely weren't living their lives, who they actually were. And I look back now and I see some of them have come out, and I'm so happy for them, because it must be awful to live being somebody you're not, right? Because you're really not living,
No, no,
right? I
you're
mean,
masking.
yeah, it's
You're
horrible.
acting.
It's horrible.
It's
Uh,
hard. It's really hard. No one deserves to live in a closet. Nobody.
No, everybody should be who they are supposed to be.
Yeah, it's like
I
yeah,
mean,
like live your life without hurting people. That's all we want to
yeah,
do for
be kind.
I would say for the most majority of people, most people just want to live their lives. Like
Yeah,
and that's not a bad thing. That's a human self-preservation trait, honestly.
that's right. And I believe that someday, everything will be accepted, and it should be. I'm talking about the majority of people should be accepting, accepting of people for who they actually are, not who we want them to be. Because I'm sure
Exactly.
that when you came out, I don't know, was your family supportive?
Extremely.
Oh, that's good.
Even when I was still trying to figure things out, my late father Conrad and my mom were the first ones to, my mom Adele, I should say. I apologize, mom. Were the first ones to take me to my first ever Pride event, which was the parade in Halifax back in
Oh,
2015, I think.
oh, good on
And
them.
my mom actually took me to then Reflections, which was the gay bar in Halifax, to make sure that like, okay, this person's like still really young, has never really been in the city, never been to a gay bar, so I'm gonna keep an eye on Taylor just to make sure they're okay. And like, and she showed up with like proud mom makeup at this bar.
Oh,
like,
wow, what
like
a great mother.
you
That,
a real one, mom. And my sister has always been accepting too
yeah,
as
that's
well. Like
so fantastic.
all my family. Like I've been
Yeah,
very like
yeah.
it's sad to say that I'm very fortunate to have an accepting family because I should not have to be lucky to have an accepting
I
family.
don't know that you're lucky.
That
I
should be the
think that,
standard. It
well,
should be the
yes,
standard.
that pure acceptance right there.
Yeah.
That is what we all should be doing. We should, everyone in the world, that I'm sure has asked the question, or why is my child different? Or why is this person different? Or what, they shouldn't ask that. They should just accept.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Like
I've
it's
always
okay to
been
question like
accepting.
what makes this person different. Like we should still ask these kind of questions in my
Right.
opinion.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
but in the sense of how can I be accommodating to these differences? I don't
Right.
want to be ignorant of people's differences. I want to be accepting of them.
Right. And one of my biggest worries, I think I mentioned it to you earlier on a phone call, is just worried about insulting you and using a wrong term or but I think we shouldn't be not doing that either because I'm sure if I asked you like what would you prefer to be called you would tell me and
Oh, I'll tell you straight.
yeah exactly well that's fine that's what you're supposed to do but for people like me a little bit older we're not used to it. We're always worried that we're going to offend somebody so I get worried about that stuff, but I'm sure I'll get over it because I have role models like yourself. I
You're a role model
appreciate.
to me too, honestly. You're doing amazing things.
Well, anytime you ever need to a place to air your views, we're always here for you, Taylor.
Thank you.
It's not gonna be different anytime. So, I've always been a fan, so it's all good. So now, do you have any tips for anyone interested in doing the same thing?
Go for it, honestly. Like the I actually, I'm gonna like draw off something I did like last year. It was an embroidery piece. Disclaimer, I am terrible at embroidery, but it's fun. So I just do hobbies. Half the time I do hobbies for the sake of enjoying myself, which
Right?
is the point of a hobby, but it's so often having to be capitalized on and everything. That's a whole different story. But it was a embroidery hoop that says, "Don't let fear stop you from creating art." So that's like my biggest one. Like just do it. Seriously, there's going to be people in your life who are going to support you. Um, do it for yourself more than anything because heirloom seeds is like my baby at this point. I am so proud of it. I love it dearly. It is my
And
heart and soul poured into a 35-page book.
and where can people get one? A copy of that,
It's currently on Amazon,
right?
and I am hoping to do some book signings around the area once my author copy has come in roughly early February.
Exciting.
Um, And the other thing I want to say is honestly, for people who want to write their own book or things like that, get it at editing is a huge thing. Get another eye to read it because it makes life so much easier. Like I passed like a PDF copy to a couple of my friends who were in a book club with me. So it's like, can you just I'll give you early access if you just make sure there's no typos.
Right. Right. Because, I think that sometimes if you look at something too much, you miss things.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there may even, while you're passing that copy around, you might even have friends that would say to you, "Gee, maybe you should have elaborated on this or elaborated on
Exactly.
that."
It's always,
Yeah,
it's like sometimes with doctors, like it's good to get a second opinion on
right.
things. Like,
Yeah, it's like songwriters, I mean,
yeah,
I write songs, but I always say I'm terrible at it. I don't really think I actually am when I really think about it, because I always say that my songs all sound like Hallmark greeting cards. So I guess that maybe what I tend to write are things that are very, they have a story,
I
and
love
it's
that.
just the way I write. So, it could be a situation, a feeling, or something like that. And I always kind of down myself, I think, and I don't know that I actually should have been doing that. I've been thinking about that lately. Instead of saying, "Oh, well, I write crappy," it doesn't mean I write crappy, because Hallmark has been pretty popular.
That's what I
So,
was thinking. Like, there's a reason Hallmark is like the top name in cards in North
right.
America.
Yeah, and somebody said
No
that to me.
self-deprecation allowed, none.
Right. So I think what I'll probably I've kind of convinced myself that 2023 is going to be the time where I put a couple hours aside a week to start to write some good music, and it's the same as everything else, when I find the songwriters or singers or musicians or artists, all different types of art forms, everybody has to be kind of brave, because not
Yeah.
everybody's going to like it, you know. But as long as you love it and you have a good feeling, I don't see any reason, why you should depress yourself with this stuff.
No, don't, like I said,
No,
don't shrink yourself for others' comfort.
no, you're right. You're absolutely correct.
I'm
When
sorry.
is the book coming out? Like the
The paper,
actual,
the
yeah.
paperback is actually now live. I'm just waiting for my copies to come in, and the ebook, which will be available on Kindle and the Kindle app. So even if you don't have a Kindle e-reader, you can still download the app on your phone. The Kindle version comes out on February 14th, which is Valentine's Day.
Wow. Cool. Another reason to celebrate Valentine's Day.
That was actually the reason I selected as Valentine's Day, because there's so many self-love themes. I'm like, there needs to be some more self-love on Valentine's Day, not just
Absolutely.
romantic.
Well, you've got that right. Because for those people that are still trying to figure out who they are, this could really help them.
I hope so. I hope it helps everyone in some way, because I know it definitely helped me.
It'll be a love story from you to them. I think it's beautiful. I think it's
Thank
just
you.
beautiful. You're very welcome. Anyway, Taylor, um, I will be speaking with you again. I know I will. Or I should say they, right? Was that wrong? Was I say they or
Whatever
them?
works.
The same word?
Yeah, they, them.
They them. Okay, great. Okay, now they them. I will be speaking with they them again, I'm sure, very soon. And in the meantime, anything that you need from Telile, we are here for you.
Thank you so much. If there's one thing I can say right quick before we head off,
Sure.
we talked a lot about mental health, and actually the day we're recording this is Blue Monday, which was actually a commercial advertisement to, but it's become a thing where people talk about mental health. So I'm going to use this opportunity to say, if anything resonated with you, especially talk about the traits of bipolar or depression or anything like that, you are not above getting help. Like, you are allowed to get help. A lot of mental illnesses will tell you you don't need help, or that there's someone who is worse off than you. Don't listen to it. Don't make things harder for yourself by not getting help. So I know there's a doctor shortage and a doctor's crisis, and that makes things a lot more difficult, but things will be a lot more difficult if you try to push through mental illness. You deserve help, you deserve love and support. And I hope that if you're struggling with mental health, or someone that you love is struggling with mental health, that you choose to get the help that you need and deserve, because I believe in you.
Well said, Taylor. Well said.
I'm getting
Yeah.
emotional.
Oh,
I
you got
tried
me
so
emotional
long.
that time too.
I tried so long just to force it down, and I was ashamed of being bipolar, and I hid it for a year. No one deserves to hide that. That's how shame happens.
Yeah, and there is no shame.
No, there
There
shouldn't
should be
be.
no shame. No. You take care, and we will meet again.
You take care. Thank you so much to you and Tilil for the support.